I walked into the neighborhood book club meeting and realized the room fell into a heavy, suffocating silence the second my foot crossed the threshold of the living room. My neighbor Diane was holding a glass of wine and looking at me with a thin, tight-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes, while the other four women suddenly found the floor patterns very interesting. I had been part of this group for 3 years, sharing stories and coffee every Tuesday, but tonight the atmosphere felt like a courtroom where I had already been found guilty of a crime I didn't commit. I stood there in my cardigan, feeling the weight of their collective gaze, realizing that a rumor about my divorce had clearly arrived before I did. Diane has always been the self-appointed gatekeeper of our street's moral standards, a woman who thrives on the perceived failures of others to make her own life feel more secure. I had mentioned to her in confidence last week that my husband and I were separating amicably, trusting her to keep it private until we told our children. Looking at the way the group was huddled together, it was obvious she had spent the last hour dissecting the details of my marriage as if it were a cheap tabloid story. I felt a surge of hot, prickling shame in my chest that quickly turned into a cold, hard sense of clarity about who these people actually were. Is there a reason everyone stopped talking the moment I opened the door? Or did I miss the memo about the new silent reading rule, I asked, setting my book on the coffee table with a loud thud? Diane let out a forced, airy laugh and told me that they were just tired and that I was being a little sensitive today, given everything I was going through. She actually had the nerve to reach out and pat my hand with a look of fake pity that made my skin crawl with a desire to scream. I realized then that they weren't just judging me. They were enjoying the drama of my life because it gave them something to talk about besides their own boring routines. I didn't sit down and I didn't accept the glass of wine she offered me. Instead, I looked around the room and addressed each of them by name. I know Diane told you about my separation, but what she probably didn't mention is that she spent 40 minutes on my porch asking for the specific details of our bank accounts, I said. The silence shifted from judgmental to incredibly awkward as Diane's face turned a splotchy, guilty red and the others looked away in embarrassment. I told them that if our friendship was based on how much gossip I could provide, then I wasn't interested in being a member of this club or this circle anymore. I picked up my book and walked toward the door, feeling a massive sense of relief with every step I took away from that couch. Diane tried to call out to me, saying that I was overreacting and that they were just concerned about my mental state. But I didn't even turn around. I spent the rest of the evening at home with a cup of tea and a book I actually enjoyed, realizing that the silence of my own house was 1,000 times better than the fake noise of that living room. I learned that some people only want to be near you when you're struggling so they can feel superior to your pain, and I was done giving them that satisfaction. I haven't spoken to Diane or the other women in months, and my life has been surprisingly peaceful without the constant pressure to perform for their approval. I started a new hobby group with people who actually care about the activities we do rather than the private lives of the members. My divorce was finalized last month, and while it was a difficult process, I did it on my own terms without the interference of neighborhood gossip. I learned that being judged in silence is a sign that you're living a life they can't understand, and